Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles. It took all the self-control that I had to keep from smacking her. I had been hoping that it would not come to this, but she just would not let it go. It had been 3 months since she brought it up for the first time. I blew her off then and also for the next 9 times that she tried. My wife, Emma, had been trying to get me to sleep with her sister, Arnett. Arnett's husband died 5 years ago, and she had been living with us since then. She was a few years younger than Emma and not bad looking, but she was not my wife. I guess I am a little old-fashioned, but I stupidly believed in the sanctity of marriage. The first time Emma brought it up, I was quite adamant in my refusal, but she was unimpressed. Every week or so, Emma would bring the subject up again, and I would always refuse. I wasn't trying to hurt Arnett's feelings by rejecting her. I just didn't think it was the right thing to do. I was also a little confused because she could have quite easily found a man outside of the house. She was pretty, smart, and had a nice body. Actually, it was nicer than Emma's. It took me a while, but I finally broke the code. Clever men probably would have known what was going on right away, but I was a little naive and a little too trusting. Once I figured out what was really happening, my whole demeanor changed. On the surface, Emma was telling me that she wanted me to help her sister ease her sexual frustrations, but in reality I read it a little differently. The way that I saw it, Emma was either having an affair and looking for a way to compensate for her infidelity by trapping me a similar endeavor, or she was planning on having an affair as soon as I succumbed to Arnett's charms. Both of these possibilities were unacceptable. Just to be fair, I promised myself that I would ignore her nagging for 3 months or 10 more times. If she stopped by then, I would forget the whole thing ever happened. Our son, Rob, joined the Navy 3 years ago, and we only got to see him once in a while. Bethany, our daughter, married and moved to Cleveland. We never got to see her. I guess with the children gone, our marriage had become dull. I am sure that in some manner, it was all my fault. I have had the same job since we married. I worked the night shift, midnight to 8, at Acme Market Warehouse just outside of town. Over the years, I worked myself up to the position of supervisor. Not too many employees wanted to work that shift, but I enjoyed it. When I got home, I usually slept until late afternoon. That left Emma with the whole day to do whatever she wanted to do. I never checked up on her, because I never felt that it was necessary. If Emma was having an affair, there was no way that I could find out about it. I am sure that other men would come up with all sorts of elaborate ways to prove infidelity, but whenever I tried to think of something, I just drew a blank. Even if Emma had not yet done anything, I no longer felt that I could trust her. Her insistence that I sleep with her net was all the proof that I needed. I started to daydream about my alternatives. If I left, and I was going to, where would I go? What would I do? How would I support myself? How long would my money last? How much money could I actually get together before I left? Would I leave anything for Emma? Should I get a divorce or just leave? Was I legally responsible for supporting Emma? A computer would give me access to the answers that I needed, but I didn't have one. The limit of my technical skills was learning how to use a cell phone in an ATM machine. All right, I will do it. Emma didn't say anything right away. She seemed shocked by my answer. I could tell that she wasn't expecting it, however, she was smiling. I will spend Saturday night with her. I'll do anything that she wants, as long as it isn't too kinky. Oh, thank you, John. You don't know how much I appreciate this. She stammered a little. I mean for Arnett, of course. She seemed to be blushing at her slip of the tongue. Is this a one-time thing? Or are the two of you expecting some type of encore? If it is all right with you, John, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. I think that you are man enough to handle it, and I know that Arnett would really appreciate it. I still don't understand why she can't just go out and get a man like any other woman. John, there are a lot of sleazy guys out there that would take advantage of her. She can trust you, and I know for a fact that you can keep her happy. I thought I saw her wink when she said that, and it pissed me off. Okay, I'll leave it up to you to let her know and get everything prepared. I don't want to do it in our bedroom. Other than that, I don't care. Do you want me to wear a condom? No. I don't think that will be necessary. Well, Saturday night came, and I will say that Arnett was a lot better in bed than Emma. Although I was not proud of what I was doing, I certainly did enjoy myself. I know that Arnett did also. Emma was just bubbling over. She seemed to be happier about the whole situation than either Arnett or me. It pretty much convinced me that I was right about her affair or potential affair. I was up bright and early Monday morning. Emma gave me a strange look as I left the house. It wasn't normal, considering the shift that I worked. Of course, that was all about to come to an end. I had the country and western station blaring on my way to work. I usually played the radio on low volume, if I played it at all. Miranda Lambert started belting out a song called Kerosene. I wasn't able to make out all of the words, but I did get the gist of the song, and it started me thinking. Light them up and watch them burn. Teach them what they need to learn. Before I got to work, I was humming that damn song to myself, and I kept doing it all day. As I walked into the warehouse office, I was really starting to feel good about myself. I had made the decision, and I was going to stick to it. I gave notice at work, but decided that it was a little early to do anything else. There was no longer any great mystery about what had to be done, and since I had it all worked out in my head, it would go pretty quickly. I was going to take it all. I was not going to leave Emma anything. That was her reward for her infidelity, which I still wasn't sure about. At supper that evening, Emma informed me that we would be going to a community center dance the next Saturday. She promised to have my sports coat pressed. She appeared to be a little too exuberant about the whole thing. I went to work that night for the last time. I said goodbye to all my friends and cleaned out my desk and locker. They had my severance, sick leave, and unused vacation checks ready for me. I was going to have to fake it the rest of the week. By Friday night, I had everything ready. Arnett had given me a few come-hither looks during the week, but I didn't bite. Neither one of them noticed that I had packed about half of all the clothes that I owned in the trunk of the car. I had sold off all of my tools and lawn equipment. First thing Monday morning, I had a job interview at Monarch Foods in Pensacola. I had no idea what to expect at the dance Saturday night, but I was pretty sure that was when I would get the real skinny about what was going on. As soon as we got to the community center, I wanted to leave. My wife was getting ready to hang the horns on me, and I wasn't happy about it. There wasn't a whole lot that I could do to undo what she had probably already done, but I couldn't let the world think that I was happy with the situation. First, I had to find out who the guy was. The three of us got a table for four, naturally. I danced with Emma and then I danced with Arnett. While I was dancing with my sister-in-law, I noticed that Tom Kendricks had asked Emma to dance. Tom was our local heating and air conditioner man. He owned his own business and serviced most of the people in our immediate area. His wife had died about 2 years ago. When we got back to the table, Tom and Emma were already there. John, you know Tom. I asked him to join us since he is all alone tonight. That's all right, isn't it? It was all I could do to keep from smashing him in the face right there. But I didn't. I managed to smile with a small nod. For the next hour or so, the four of us made nice around the table and on the dance floor. I had no trouble at all figuring out where this was going, and I didn't like it one bit. On my way to the men's room, I made a slight detour and went out the side fire exit. It was a good time for a smoke break. Smoking used to be a normal function in community halls and other public buildings, but no longer. There were a couple other guys getting a tobacco fix just outside the door. We exchanged a few pleasantries and I wandered out to the side parking lot. I needed some time alone to think and to figure out what I was going to do. In another hour or so, I was expecting Emma to announce that she and Tom were going to be leaving together. Since I had committed the first sin by sleeping with Arnett, there was no way that I could deny her leaving with him. I was trapped unless I resorted to a straightforward attack, which I didn't want to do. As I made my way across the lot, I noticed that my car hood was open. That was strange. My first thought was that somebody was stealing my car battery. Rather than rush over, I watched from the shadows and inched my way closer. Whoever it was then tried to close the hood without making a sound. A pretty difficult thing to do in the quiet of the night. I watched as he made his way over to the corner of the lot and got into a Kendricks heating panel truck. What the hell? I stood there without moving until the butt I was holding burned my fingers. He didn't seem to take anything away with him. So what was he doing? I got my mini Mad Light out of the glove box and popped the hood. I had never really seen anything like it before. It was 2 sticks, or what I assumed to be dynamite, and something else wrapped up with a whole slew of duct tape. It was right on top of the engine and had 2 wires coming out of it. One wire was connected to a spark plug wire with an alligator clip, and the other wire was just connected to the engine as a ground. Pretty damn simple. Nothing could go wrong. I disconnected the alligator clips and reconnected my spark plug. Grabbing a screwdriver from the glove box, I started looking for the red Lincoln that Tom Kendricks drove around in as if he was king of the world. It is a pretty easy thing to pop a car hood with a screwdriver if you know where the latch is. I didn't know at the beginning, so it took me a while, but I eventually got it. A minute later, Tom Kendricks was the proud owner of the same gift that he had given me. I slammed the hood closed and didn't give a damn who might have heard me. Nobody did. In a few hours, I would be leaving the dance, but the way I had it figured, I would be expected to leave with Arnett while Tom and Emma left together. That means that Arnett was selected to die at the same time I was. Arnett was Emma's sister. Did that mean that Emma was not aware of what was going on, or does that mean that she was aware and didn't care? I had another cigarette before going back in, and a long chat with several of the other guys who couldn't kick the habit either. Just in case, I switched from alcohol over to coke for the rest of the evening. I wanted to have my wits about me for the rest of the night. I felt bad for Arnett. She was being used and didn't deserve it. It didn't look as if I was going to get a chance to talk to Emma, so I took Arnett for a spin on the dance floor. Arnett, am I being set up here? Should I be upset about what is going on? I don't know how to answer that, John. Is Emma going to be going home with us tonight? Or is she planning on going home with Kendricks? I am not supposed to say anything. Does that mean that what I said is going to happen? Arnett sort of shrugged her shoulders and gave me a stupid little grin. The answer was yes, but she couldn't bring herself to say it. Does that bother you that much, John? Arnett, She used both of us so that she could get together with Kendricks. That was a rotten thing to do. I didn't mind, but I told her that she shouldn't do that to you. She said it was okay, and that I shouldn't worry about it. She said that you would be happy. How's she planning on doing this? I'm not sure. I think that they are just going to tell us that they are leaving and do it. As I walked my sister-in-law back to the table, my mind was working overtime. I still wasn't sure if Emma knew about the bomb or not. The soda was going through my kidneys as fast as the beer was, so another trip to the John was necessary. I took my time. When I came out, I looked across the hall and saw Emma and Arnett arguing. Kendricks was tugging on Emma's arm trying to get her to leave the building with him. Of course, there was no way that I could know what the disagreement was about, but it was heated. Emma looked across the dance floor and saw me watching from the far wall. She made some kind of a face at me and then let out a final flurry of words to her sister. Arnett was crying as Emma and Kendricks left the community center. I am not totally stoic. I didn't know exactly what had happened, but I felt sorry for Arnett. She was more than receptive when I held my arms open to comfort her. Arnett was trying to talk, but she was just blubbering, and I couldn't understand a word that she was saying. I finally sat her down and gave her a sip of Coke. Now, take it really slow and tell me why you're so upset. John, when you got up to go to the bathroom, Emma and Kendrick started to leave. They were giggling like two kids. I grabbed Emma's arm and told her not to go. I said that you were concerned that she might do this, and that you were not happy about it. She laughed at me and said it was too late. The more that I argued with her, the madder she got. Finally, she said that I was as stupid as you were, and that we deserved each other. That was when she saw you across the road. They were both laughing when they left. Arnett started crying again, so I held her head against my shoulder just as the blast shook the whole building. The lights were flickering and tiles were falling from the suspended ceiling as the whole structure trembled. Neon signs fell off the walls and everybody was screaming. I had to snicker to myself, because I was the only one who knew what had just happened. Light them up and watch them burn. Teach them what they need to learn. Now I knew what Miranda was talking about. Well, the rest of the evening was quite interesting. I thought that I might be a person of interest to the police, but that never seemed to happen. Before the night was over, the police were talking in depth with one of Kendrick's employees, who had been seen driving around the parking lot earlier. They got some sort of confession out of him, but not really what they had expected. In any event, they were no longer interested in me. I took Arnett home and made a pot of coffee. There was no way that she was going to get any sleep after everything that went on. She was sitting quietly on the couch with her hands in her lap when I gave her the hot cup. Her eyes were red from crying, but I wasn't sure what she had been crying about. She took a sip and paused because it was too hot. John, thank you for taking care of me tonight. I really appreciate what you did. I'm sorry about Emma. I truly am. What she did wasn't right, but she didn't deserve to die. The poor woman had no idea how close she came to being the victim in all of this. She had been taken in just as I was. How could the two sisters be so different? My plans were all made, but what was I going to do now? This was not something that I had anticipated. I handed her a tissue to wipe her eyes. Arnett, have you ever been to Pensacola? She gave out a faint smile. Over the next few days, she mourned over her sister's passing. This was the first time that she told me that my wife had threatened her into getting into a relationship with me. I just held her hand and told her that life had weird ways and I am happy to be part of her life. She smiled and then kissed me. A few weeks later, me and Arnett were enjoying our time in Pensacola. We have not planned to get married soon, but who knows? Dear listener, if you have reached this far, please click on the subscribe button. It will be a great help.